All right, so this video lesson is on arithmetic sequences. If we want to find this rule, this is the first term. And so that's usually pretty easy. We usually know it up front. Occasionally you might have to go backwards to find it, but I think I'm expecting just to go with things where we know that's the first term. And then D is the difference. And that wasn't too hard to find either, right? So let's make up a series of numbers. And I'm actually going to do, well, I'll do a positive example and a negative example. That was obviously a highlighter, which I didn't mean. So let's make up a sequence that's like 5, 11, 17, 23. Why did I make that so hard on myself? And then let's make up one that is 40, 35, 30, 25. And they both go on. Right. So the first thing you do, if you want to find the explicit formula, is you say, okay, there's my A1. That's good. No more work. And then you're going to find your difference. And make sure it really is this as arithmetic. It has the same step. So 5 to 11 is a plus 6. 11 to 17 is a plus 6. 17 to 23 is a plus 6. So we know D equals 6. All right, so now my formula says A sub n is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 times D. So we figured out D, we figured out A1. So A sub n is equal to our first term, which is 5, plus n minus 1 times D, which is 6. So that's actually all there is to it, is figuring out the step in the first term. So let's look over here, and again we know A1 right away. Let's see what our steps are. I want to make sure we do a negative example. Okay, to go from 40 to 35, it's minus 5. 35 to 30, minus 5. 30 to 25 is minus 5. So D is equal to minus 5. So there's our D, and there's our A1. Okay, so A sub n is always equal to, and I think it's a good habit to rewrite the formula or whatever you're trying to find. I do know that for some of you with dysgraphia, that's hard, and I'll try often to put this in the place where you'll be figuring something out. All right, so A sub n is equal to A1 is 40 plus n minus 1 times minus 5. So now we need to find the general rule for a couple of these. I'm only going to do one in the video, and we get the other two to do in class, or you can do them. So we're going to start by rewriting our formula. A sub n is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 times D. And we need to find A1 and D. All right, so there's A1. Let's see what our step is. So thankfully, it's a nice, easy example. So plus 10 is the step. So D is equal to 10. All right, so A sub n is equal to A1 plus n minus 1 D. A1 is 6 times n minus 1, and D is 10. And then tempted to simplify. Like I said, you're fine right here with this, but you can simplify. A sub n is 6 plus, distribute the 10 times n, 10 times minus 1. I have like terms of 6 and minus 10. And so that's minus 4 plus 10n is the other way to write it. Alrighty, and so I'm going to leave it to you to do the next two in your notebook. And then our final step, the final thing to learn, is just how to find the recursive formula. And the recursive formula is, it has two parts. You always list, anytime you work these problems, you're going to have an answer box that says 1 and 2. So 1 is the initial condition, or the value of the first term. They mean the same thing. And then the recursive formula is just a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d. So same as before, you actually just need to know a sub 1 and d. All right, so a sub 1 is our first term, is equal to 1. D, our step each time, is equal to plus 3. So you're going to say, actually I'm going to move it to be below that. So 1, a sub 1 equals 1. And 2, you're going to write a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d, which is 3. All right, let's do another one here. Let's see what our step is each time. So to go from 4 to minus 1, we need minus 5. And happily it matches. Minus 1 to minus 6 is minus 5. Minus 5 and minus 5. So we know d is equal to minus 5. And we also can see that a1 is equal to 4. So first you write number 1. a1 is equal to 4. And number 2, a sub n is equal to the term before, a sub n minus 1, plus d. And in our case, d is negative, minus 5. So the cleanest way to write that is a sub n minus 1 minus 5. And recursive formulas aren't as useful just because you have to know the term right before. So if I ask you to find the 50th term, you'd have to know the 49th term to use this. Whereas with the other kind of rule, you don't. You can just plug and chug. All right, and this is a couple more examples of things I want you to be able to do, and I'm going to leave those also. I'll leave them for you to try by yourself, or we will try them together. And so that's the end of arithmetic sequences.